Many people have rabbits as pets, but how would you feel if your pet rabbit was chased by dogs and killed by them? Well, hares are wild animals that come from the same family and are hunted by dogs as a sport. Hares are known to reach speeds of 45 miles per hour when escaping danger, and this is why they're used for coursing. Hare coursing was made illegal in 2004, but before that it was an accepted sport within society. Dogs chase the hare by sight, not by scent. But even though it is no longer legal, it takes place all over Lincolnshire and is heavily fuelled by gambling, with one competition allowing the winner to be awarded £6,000. People come to Lincolnshire from all over the country just to compete in the sport.
It's the geography. We have large swathes of Lincolnshire that's very flat, very open, perfect for setting your dogs onto hares and being able to watch what they consider sport to be. And actually, some people would question, well, is this the most serious of crimes? Well, no, it isn't the most serious of crimes, but it's about all the other things that come with it. So we have people travelling to here, and we know that their background often includes other criminal activity. So whether we recently went out on an operation, caught a hare courser, he'd got a warrant outstanding for burglaries. So that's the kind of individual that we do not want encouraging to our county.
As Lincolnshire's landscape is very flat, hare coursing heavily affects the rural community, as the sport usually takes place on farmers' land. Farmers in the county have found other issues have come from this too.
We have to be really aware of security. People seem to have the perception that this is a bunch of farmers moaning about people walking their dogs on the land. If only that were the case. Now, when they come here, they scout out the farm and they see what's around locally, and they tend to be in touch with their criminal brothers to come back at a later date to steal things that they might feel should rightfully be theirs, like bits of tractor or batteries or scrap iron or anything that isn't bolted down.
Farmers are also having to block off their farms with straw bales to try and stop hare coursers trespassing on their land.
Once upon a time, the countryside was a nice open place where you could go in and enjoy the views if you wanted to. But on your way here, I'm sure you've seen a number of field gateways blocked by bits of agricultural machinery or bales or something like that to prevent hare coursers coming onto the land and driving on the fields. And the driving on the fields, incidentally, is a fairly new development, because once upon a time they'd park their vehicles at the side of the road. But now they realise they get just as much fun driving over the fields. We don't see it that way.
Here he is.
Although hare coursing is an issue, Lincolnshire Police have introduced Operation Galileo to help tackle the problem.
The main of Operation Galileo is to provide high visibility policing, so to put patrols out there on dedicated days of action to reassure the communities that we're doing something to tackle the problem. It's about bringing offenders to justice and also preventing hare coursers from wanting to come into county and commit offences.
But it's not just Operation Galileo combating hare coursing. The farming community are also going to great lengths to help each other.
We have a WhatsApp text messaging system throughout Lincolnshire, and we are aware of suspicious vehicles coming into the county from north, south, east and west. A number of these people come in from, in our case, the northwest, Manchester and places like that. So, and they know this part of the world better than we do ourselves sometimes.
The force is using new technology to help with their fight against hare coursing. Drones are deployed on operations as and when they are needed. The use of the new equipment has helped direct officers to where hare coursers go, when they disappear out of sight, and help assist with arrests.
We've got drones which we use now, which have been good in capturing footage of active hare coursing and also finding offenders who are hiding. We have off-road quad bikes which we can use. We have vehicles with off-road capabilities, although obviously it becomes a bit difficult with pursuit policies because obviously it becomes dangerous once you do end up going off-road. We use resources from out of county, so we team up with like Cambridgeshire, Leicestershire Police. We have special trained traffic officers who have the ability to use stingers and to pursue vehicles. So we're just using more and more different tactics to try and stop the problem.
Advertisements like these are produced by Lincolnshire Police in their fight against hare coursing. The video demonstrates their tactic of seizing and crushing vehicles that were used for the sport.
Christ, no, man!
Since Operation Galileo was launched in September, the number of incidents of hare coursing in Lincolnshire has fallen. There has been a 30% reduction in hare coursing, meaning there has been 600 fewer victims. The police now have powers to seize dogs, and the total number seized this season was 76. However, the cost of this impacts society.
The best deterrent we have when we catch people that are hare coursing is to take the dogs off them, which we do. They're put in secure kennels, fed, looked after, treated well, and then we have to go to court. And more often than not, the courts have been giving the dogs back. Now, as taxpayers, we're left paying the bill for that kennelling, which is £7 per dog per day. This year alone, £42,000 spent on kennelling dogs. At the moment, there's no provision through the courts to claim that money back. Now, that's a significant cost to the taxpayer of Lincolnshire, but not as significant as sending the police officers around the countryside chasing after them. So it is good value, but I think the courts need to have the powers to be able to charge those costs back, and I think that will again be another deterrent.
The dogs used for hare coursing are normally lurchers, a cross between greyhounds, whippets or salukis, and they're usually in a poor state when the police find them.
Often the dogs, not in all cases, some obviously are going to be cared for, but generally speaking are very malnourished. They've been starved before the sport, so obviously they can smell the blood and they want to chase the animal. So they're very thin, they're very timid, they're very frightened, and the issue comes with if a dog often becomes injured during that activity or it becomes old, then they often just leave the dog in the middle of a field somewhere. So then obviously it's over to the police and the local authorities to rehome, to care for that animal, to get the necessary veterinary treatment.
This also means there's lots of dogs that need rehoming. Anne Devlin rescued dogs that were subject to coursing and cruel behaviour.
I've got Lockie. 6 months I've had him. Don't know whether that was a good idea or not. He was a gypsy cruelty case that I rehomed from just outside Portsmouth. And he was obviously been a big, strong dog, and they've used him for lots and lots of coursing and racing, and they'll have earned big money with him because he's a big, strong lad. And then, of course, they've run him too much, and he's broken down, so there's no use to them anymore. So they took him to a nearby gamekeeper's, tied him to a tree there and left him. He was very thin, he was about 8 kilos less than he is now, covered in sores, and a really sad boy.
With 3 dogs all from coursing backgrounds, Anne knows how hard it is to look after them.
I think the dogs should be taken like the police are doing now and put in kennels and rehomed, but they need rehoming sensibly because these dogs aren't for the faint-hearted. They're not easy. You cannot handle one of these working dogs the same as you would handle a little fluffy pet that you buy as a puppy.
Although the hare coursing season may be over, that doesn't mean it's the end for Operation Galileo, and we are still unaware of what the future of hare coursing holds.
I think you're always going to have pockets of criminal activity. I mean, years ago, badger baiting was a perfectly legal activity and people thought it was okay. We still get little pockets of it, but I think most members of the public are outraged that happens, and those individuals, quite rightly, are prosecuted as often as possible. I would like to see hare coursing get to that point. I'd like to see that happen sooner rather than later, and certainly, best part of 1,400 incidents this year alone, and that's after a 30% reduction. It's a huge problem still, so I think it'll take a number of years to get to the point where I'm happy.
The fight against hare coursing has been a success so far, and Lincolnshire Police are currently carrying out a review of Operation Galileo to look at what worked well and what could be improved. They are already planning for the next hare coursing season.